Welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. On today's episode, I have part 2 of last week's episode. So if you've not listened to last week's, make sure to go do that first. Last week, we talked about your unique selling proposition and your I help statement. Now that we know who you serve, it's time to figure out how to help them see you. How do you create content that brings your clients to you? You have to be able to stand out in this crowded marketplace. And so when you create intentional magnetic content, then that is going to help you stand out and help your people find you. Also, super quick, I'm so excited that the How to Strengthen Your Professional Organizing Business course with 12-month Mastermind is available. The link will be in the show notes. If you have already launched your business and you're working with clients, but you are ready to focus on growth, strategy, and impact in 2025, this is what you are going to want to do. I created the Strengthen Your Business course with Mastermind, a program specifically designed for women solopreneurs like you who are juggling it all. This 12-part course is packed with actionable strategies to help you streamline your operations, improve your marketing, and grow your client base. And here's the best part. Each month, we'll meet for a live mastermind session where we'll deep dive into a key growth topic like networking, branding, or client retention. You'll leave each session with clear goals and a roadmap to move your business forward without the overwhelm. Don't wait. This is your year to strengthen your business, clarify your mission, and create the impact that you've been dreaming of. It's time to invest in your business and yourself. So let's make 2025 your best year yet. Click the link in the show notes to join, and I will see you there. I'm Samantha Brown, professional organizer, decluttering specialist, and business coach. I created Pro Organizers Coach podcast to empower you to reach new heights in your business. I am on a mission to build a supportive sisterhood of passionate professional organizers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just getting started, this podcast is for you. Hey, ladies. Oh my goodness. We are back for another Transformational Thursday. I'm so excited. So today I am bringing you part 2 of the last one that we did. In the last one, we talked about figuring out your unique selling proposition and your I help statement. So what that does is it helps you with your messaging, whether you are creating your website, whether you are, doing content on social media, wherever it is that you are talking to your ideal client, you have to know those things. Like, what is their tipping point? What's their zero state? What's their hero state? What's their tipping point? And how can you help them? Which is everything we went over in part 1 of this. So today, I want to help you take what you figured out in part 1 and show you how you can use that for your content specifically to help draw your clients to you instead of constantly feeling like you're creating all of this content, but no one is liking it. It doesn't seem like it's bringing you in any clients. That's a struggle for a lot of us. So the magnetic content is what it's called. And I want to help you reach the right people, not every person. So you kind of have to switch your mindset just a little when it comes to social media. We think that if we're getting likes and if it's getting shared, then it must be talking to the right people. And while it's great that it gets likes and that it gets shared and all the things, that doesn't necessarily mean that those are our people and that we're talking to the right people. They may just be like friends and family that are like, "Ooh, I love what you're doing," which is fantastic that they love what we're doing. But we need the people to see it that are actually ready to work with us and that are ready to hire an organizer and that, hopefully live in our area, of course, unless you do virtual or something online. So you want to speak directly to what is considered more of like the hot leads, which is bottom of the funnel. It's the people that are at that tipping point which means they're ready to hire. They are, or they're at least thinking about it to where they're willing to have a conversation. They may not be fully ready yet, but they're almost there, right? And then they become aware of you and maybe they'll call you back in a few months, which happens a lot. What you want to bring to this content is value, of course. Like we always want to make sure that we bring some sort of value. And I'm going to go over the content buckets here in a minute of what that value can be. Your experience level, like you want to show up authentically yourself and share things like what you've gone through or how you've helped clients. And we'll get into all of that in a minute. And then you also want to bring in the 3 factors, which is the 0 state, the hero state, and the tipping point that we figured out in our I help statement. So that way it becomes highly relevant to the right person. Okay. So let's talk about the 3 buckets of different types of content that you want to be creating. That way it reaches the people and gives you ideas. Because I know for a lot of us, we love before and afters. Those are great. But there's other things that we can do as well. First off, you want to be able to share your story. I wanted to bring this up because for a lot of us, especially when we are starting an organizing business, a lot of women that I have coached, it's been hard to even get them to take a photo of themselves for the first like homepage of their website. So I know it's hard to share ourselves and to open up authentically, but we are in such a personal service based industry that if we don't show people who we are and they don't trust us and get to know us, then they're never going to hire us because they want to feel like they can trust us as they should, because we might be helping them go through their panty drawer or, all sorts of unmentionables. They are opening up their home to us in a way that none of us open up our homes to anyone. You want to make sure that you are sharing your story, what you have walked through, what you've learned, how you learned what you learned. You've got to open up and be authentic. I was listening to Lisa Nichols over the past few days, and she had me in tears because she was talking about her dip method. And her dip method is where, if you're doing like a short little video or a short little something, even a conversation, you want to start with who you are now. Like, I'm a professional organizer and a business coach and a decluttering specialist. But then you want to take them straight to, because this is where I came from. I didn't even know how to organize my home. I had so much clutter in my home that I had to learn how to declutter and organize things myself. Then opening up even more than that. So then it brings you back up to the other side of, that's why my mission is to help other women start their organizing businesses without feeling the overwhelm. Or for my organizing clients, that's why I want to help them declutter and organize in a way that is going to be sustainable and take that weight off of their shoulders, right? So when we open up who we are and we share our story more authentically, people can connect to us. They're somewhere on that journey of what we've been through, or they're going through something similar, maybe. And then that helps them connect with us. If you keep it very surface level all the time of just, oh, I'm a professional organizer, then the clients end up thinking that we're perfect, that we have everything figured out, that we couldn't possibly understand what they're going through because, our home is immaculate and amazing and our kids are amazing. And I hear it all the time, like, oh, your home must be perfect. And I'm like, no, and then I'm able to open up. And the reason I was crying whenever I was listening to her speech on this is because I realized I'm really good at opening up with my one-on-one organizing clients when we're in their home. I'm really good at opening up at our group coaching sessions with my members, but I've not been so good about opening up for the podcast and here in the Facebook group. And it hit me, and I apologize to God. And I want to also apologize to you all that I haven't shared more of myself. It is hard whenever I can't see you. And so it's hard for us to have a conversation back and forth. But my commitment to you is that I am going to start opening up a lot more and sharing a lot more of my heart, my journey, like getting real. So you know what this looks like to truly run an organizing business, because that's my mission. That's my passion, is that to help you realize it's not all perfect, but it's amazing when we are able to help our clients and they are getting results. And you hear from a client that's like, oh my gosh, it's been a year and my closet's still organized. Look at this. Like you change people's lives. So that's my promise to you, is that I am going to start opening up a lot more authentically. But back to our story, our content buckets about our story. So in the first content bucket, we have story. It can be our own story. It should be our own story. And it needs to be from the heart. And then the other story that you want to share is how you've helped others. So at first, when a lot of us haven't helped others or we don't have those stories or those client testimonials, then that's where sharing more of ourselves and our own story comes in and helps people get to know us. It's just if we've been doing this for a minute and we have the before and afters and the client testimonials, I think we forget a lot of times that our clients or our potential clients still want to hear from us and get to know us on a deeper level. It just helps people relate to you. Okay, the second content bucket is value. So anything that is going to show you as the expert, it's valuable content, right? So like FAQs, anything that's going to, give them good information. Tutorials are great. Tips and tricks. I know a lot of us have seen those, on Instagram and different places of professional organizers. And there's a reason they show those things, is because it works and it brings in people watching. People love a good, you know, tutorial of how to maybe even like file fold. Quick story. So I actually fold my bedding sets, right? Like the fitted sheet, all the sheets, and then the pillowcases. I put them all inside of one pillowcase. And then I kind of tuck that in to where it leaves this almost like envelope looking thing. And then you flip it over and it's just one pretty thing without the whole pile of all the different sheets. I just assumed everyone does that. And what I realized actually not too long ago is I was with a client. She was like, wait, what did you just do? Oh my goodness. So when you hear that from a client, like there's things that we do that we don't realize we could actually share as a tutorial for our people. If someone we're working with is like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? That's something that you could show online. And if you hate showing your face or it's hard to figure out how to show your face, you're not comfortable yet, just show it with your hands. Like put your phone up to where it's down on like a table, and you could even be talking them through while you're showing what you're doing with your hands. So yeah, we definitely want to do tutorials, tips and tricks, and then strategies. We have a lot of those as professional organizers. We just need to be more aware when we're working with clients or what people are saying they really loved that we did. Any of those we could turn into valuable content for our people. And then the other content bucket that you want to make sure that you share is proof that you are the expert and that you know what you're doing. And the way that you do that is by sharing results. So this could be if someone leaves you a Google review, you do a screenshot of it and then you share it on your socials. Before and afters, and the before and afters can be photos, but they can also be like written. I had a client, which you don't say their name without their permission, but I was working with a client this week and I just had to share this story of what it was like when I got there and then how she felt when I left. And you can keep it very kind of surface level. So that way, hopefully that person obviously wouldn't get offended by any means because you don't say their name or anything like that. But it just helps people know that the zero state that our person was at or their tipping point that they were at before we got there. And then after we left, it's like proof of they were at the high point. They were at their hero state when we left them. Right. So that's what we kind of want to show on our before and afters. And then the other thing that's proof, again, can be you sharing your own story or the story of a client, sharing how you've learned something or what you have walked through and being open and authentic, like I was talking about a minute ago. That's another way to show proof. I think a lot of us feel like as professional organizers that we have to seem perfect. And that if we tell that like, hey, I just learned this thing last week, that it may take away the professionalness or they may not want to hire us because we may not look as professional, when really it's the other way around. When we show that we have a growth mindset and that we are still learning ourselves, it helps them know that we're not going to judge them. We just want to be there to help them learn what we are also learning, and that we're open to change and growth and all the things. So, pulling the keywords from your USP statement that we did last week and thinking about where your clients are and then where they want to be, their zero state and their hero state. And then we need to figure out what they are actually saying. So, this was the part that always kind of got me when I was listening to people and starting the podcast and different things. Is I'm like, well, how do I do market research and figure out what my people are saying? It really is pretty simple, but I totally made it way harder than it had to be. Once you start working with clients, it's a lot easier because you can pay attention to those moments where they get excited, or when you first show up and you're doing the consultation or even on the phone call and they're telling you how they feel or what's been going on for them. If you can write some of that stuff down, then it helps you when you're creating content to use the wording that is going to actually speak to the people that are just like them, which is our ideal client, our people that we want to help. And so that is a great way as you are working with people to figure out what they are actually saying. Now, if you've not worked with clients yet, or you're still at the, just getting started or the friends and family stage, you can go into Facebook groups, right? So if your ideal client, let's say, is a mom with multiple kids that's overwhelmed and she's a stay-at-home mom, okay? If you join a stay-at-home mom group, there's a few things that you can do there. Instead of just going in and being like, hey, ladies, I'm a professional organizer. If you live in the such and such area, I can help you. Here's my business information. Like, that feels very stale. So, first off, you can go in and you can give valuable content, which I know people tell us to do all the time. You don't have to do it a bunch, but if you see someone struggling with like a pantry or a whatever, or you could even go in and be like, hey, ladies, I actually wanted to let you know I'm a professional organizer. So, if any of you all have questions about how to organize something, I would be more than happy to answer your questions. Just wanted to let you know I love that you are staying at home with your children. I admire you, and then whatever else. You can also go into those groups to figure out the language that they're using. And you can also go in those groups to share the struggles and the things that you're going through. It doesn't have to be a sales post. It can literally be a, hey, I'm having a really hard day today post. And here's why. In my business, I'm getting it started and it's so hard. And I've learned how to do these other things. So then all of a sudden they're like, oh, they're thinking of you as a, person that's struggling, and then they want to help you instead of it being you selling to them, right? And then they get to know you. So that's just some ways that I wanted to make sure to bring up, because I know I always had a hard time being like, what do I say when I go in the Facebook groups? I have no idea what to say. And then it's also just, again, about paying attention to what they are saying that they're struggling with, that if that's your ideal client. If your ideal client's a business owner, join a business Facebook group and see kind of the wording that they're saying, or maybe some of the things they're struggling with, or maybe even put a post out and be like, hey, I'm a professional organizer. I'm doing some market research. What are you struggling with in your business or in your home, or, whatever? Worst they can do is say, oh, you can't post that in this group. And then you say, oh, my bad, But if it's more of just asking a question, most of the time people will answer you and they're very helpful. The other thing that you need to think about when you're creating content is your why. When you know your why, the how becomes so much easier. It matters that you know your why of why you want to help these particular individuals. And normally it's because they are you. They're who you used to be. They are on the journey that you've already walked in some way, shape, or form. When you think of the I help blank who go from zero state to hero state so that they can what? That what can they do? When you think of why did it matter to you when you were there? So for me, for instance, and I know I talked about this last week, but it mattered to me because I was broken. I was desperate. I was ready to quit and give up. And I just needed some help. I needed the clutter gone so that I could feel normal again. Right. And so that's why decluttering works for me. That's why when I talk about it, there's a passion there because it's my why. I'm on a mission to help other women take that weight off and that stress off. Like there's so many things that you can do to be very strategic that just help your clients get to know who you are and why you care to help them in the first place. We are in a helping industry. And so again, if we expect them, like you've got to put yourself in their shoes. If at whatever point you would have been willing to open up your home for someone to come in and be like, okay, let's pull open all your dresser drawers and, all of like your nightstand drawer and all the places that you might as well open up your purse and let them in, which my husband still this day won't even go in my purse. Like it was just how he was raised. So as humans, we have these certain boundaries. And we wouldn't do it with like a construction worker, even if they were female, right? And so there's this whole other side of what we do as professional organizers, which is that we are going to be digging through your stuff with you. You may not have looked in that box in 10 years. And while I'm there, we are going to open it up together and see what's in there. So they have to know you. They have to know that you have empathy for them, that you have been through some things and that you made it through. So now you're turning around to help them get through it as well. And it literally comes down to that. If you keep that in the back of your mind of having empathy for your clients, knowing your why, so that way you are on a mission, it will help outweigh all of the doubts, all of the negative thinking, all of the fixed mindsets, because as an entrepreneur, you need to be willing to grow. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Go to proorganizerscoach.com to find all the ways that we can help you succeed in your business. Remember, you have the power to make a difference in people's lives through decluttering and organization. So keep honing your skills, embracing those challenges, and fostering connections. Girl, you've got this.